Well, the CDC reports that about 1 in 5 kids and teens have obesity. Obesity is more common in Hispanic and Black communities and children in lower income families. Complications include high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, asthma, depression, just to name a few. Today on Community Connections, we'll examine childhood obesity and learn how we can take action to prevent and manage obesity and help children develop lifelong healthy lifestyles. Joining me to discuss, Dr. Ashanti Woods, a pediatrician at Mercy Family Care Physicians in Baltimore. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us in to talk about this very important topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first and most important thing is, how is obesity defined?
So obesity, when we think about obesity, we think about something called body mass index, often referred to as BMI. BMI for adults is pretty simple. You look at a number. If it's greater than that number, then you got obesity or overweight. For children, it's a little trickier, but the concept is pretty much the same. We use percentiles, and anything between, let's say, the 5th percentile and the 85th percentile, we say that's what we consider. I don't like the word normal, but that's what we consider to be normal range. If your weight is above the 85th percentile, that just means you got 100 people and you line them up from skinniest to heaviest. If you're greater than person number 85, but not greater than person number 95, that means you're overweight. But if you're greater than person 95 or greater, that means you're obese. So we use numbers and data to help us out, but essentially it means that as we compare your weight to your height, the weight is winning out. And so we think that this is so important because we know that obesity, as you mentioned, is the lead-in. It can lead to heart-related complications, respiratory-related complications, bone complications. And in fact, we think that obesity plays a role, at least with cancer and even mental health as well. So we think that we should definitely address this earlier on and start some of those healthy lifestyle habits, eating habits with children so that they could practice that as they continue to grow into a healthy adult.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, my kids are grown, thankfully, but, I'm in my 50s, upward 50s, and I remember—
You look good.
Well, thank you. I remember growing up in a household where it was fried food, whether it's fried chicken, fried fish, fried liver, fried this. So what can parents do to prevent childhood obesity?
Well, you hit the nail on the head in that it starts at home. And so mirroring good behaviors, whether that's through the diet. So what are we eating at home? Are these foods that one would consider to be healthy? Does it involve all and encompass all of the food groups? Is it a nice colorful plate that has some veggies, that has some fruits, that has some protein, that has some carbs? It doesn't mean it has to be boring, but just a nice, well variety, a spread of foods starts at home. And so we want to make sure that the options that we're giving our children are in fact healthy options. That's one thing. Mirroring behaviors, activity. Are we the parents? Are we mirroring going outside or demonstrating going outside and say, all right, we just finished this wonderful dinner. Let's maybe take a walk around the community. Let's go to the local track. Are we active? And how much activity are we talking about? We usually say 60 minutes. That is a lot. But if you could aim for 30 to 60 minutes, and how often are we doing this? It's great if you could do it every day, but I will take 3 to 5 times a week. If you give me 30 to 60 minutes of activity, that is good. An activity that really works for me is when you start sweating. If you're starting to get beads of sweat on your forehead, that lets me know you're probably burning some calories at that point. And it doesn't take a lot to start generating that beads of sweat on forehead. So again, summarize, 3 to 5 nights out of the week, looking for 30 to 60 minutes of activity. It starts at home and getting that activity, making sure that we're eating well. Sometimes obesity, of course, can start in your genetics. And so if we come from a family where there are bigger people on either one side of the family or the other, that means that we might even have to do even more, be even more conscientious of making sure that we're eating those good foods and getting that activity.
Right. One of the things that, we're in a society where everyone is on a pad, on a phone. Like, kids don't go outside the way they did when I was a kid. And unfortunately, a lot of parents are the exact same way. So what if you have a parent that is one of those parents, I'm just going to stay and watch a movie, watch television, play on my iPad, get on Instagram? How can you still encourage your kids to go out and be active?
That's right. So the parent, I got a busy lifestyle. I can't go to the track like Dr. Woods said. Who does he think, how much time does Dr. Woods think that I have? I can't go outside. Or I, the parent, I'm overweight and I don't want to go outside. I'm on my pad. So it would be, well, let's use our home. Let's use some of the apps that they have where we could get training right there, right inside of the house. It doesn't take a big, expensive gym. Doesn't take a Peloton. So using our devices to our advantage and getting apps that encourage moving. There's so many games, whether it's on the Nintendo Switch, a Wii,
Right.
from way back, but many of the gaming systems have some getting moving activities. And suppose we don't want to do any of that, just pull up YouTube on your smart TV. Pull up YouTube, Google or YouTube search, activities for home, and there'll be a laundry list of things that we could do right there in our living room, right there in our basement, that just get us moving. And again, what is the goal? Getting some beads of sweat on your forehead. That usually is a sign that we're burning some calories.
Yeah. When should a parent seek help for their child? I mean, in certain communities, oh, he's just chubby, he'll outgrow it, he'll eventually lose weight. But when should a parent actually start seeking that guidance from a healthcare provider?
We think it is awesome, and it's never too early to seek help. And so we would recommend the first thing we could do is actually just staying on track with your routine health maintenance appointments. For most children, that's going to be a visit to the doctor at least once a year. Of course, when you're an infant, the visits are a little closer together. But when we're talking about being overweight or obesity, that's typically going to be our either preschool or school-age child. And at that point, the visits are at least once a year. So keeping on track with those appointments, that's the starting point. But if it's not discovered when looking at the growth chart at that health maintenance appointment, any time is good to get plugged in. But if your child is having symptoms, which is chest pain with activity. So when hey doc, I followed your advice. We did that little lap around the track, but my kid was talking about that their chest was hurting or that they were short of breath, or we got a call to come pick the kid up from school because they can't keep up with their peers. Symptoms would be another sign to give your pediatrician a call to check in and then share, hey doc, I got this call from school about this symptom, but if you don't mind, could you spend 5 minutes going over their growth chart with me? What are we looking at on that growth chart? How does the weight gain compare with the height gain? It's going to be different percentiles, and you want those percentiles to line up pretty nicely if possible.
Yep. Last question. We got about 10 seconds. Where can people get more information?
You can go to cdc.gov, and you can also go to healthykids.org. It's a website to give you tons of information on things that you can do specifically right at home.
All right, Dr. Woods, we'll leave it right there. Thank you so much for joining us. After these messages, we'll continue our discussion about childhood obesity and learn about the importance of physical activity and movement and how one organization is helping kids across America to get in shape.
Love is a lesson that doesn't end. It knows no conditions, so you better buckle in. Love keeps you on your toes. It never stops, only grows. Love isn't easy. It's a commitment, especially when they're being their most resistant. Love is being prepared for the journey ahead. Love doesn't let any concerns go unsaid. Love is finding the right seat so you can take a breath. But remember, love isn't lax. It always double checks. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects.
Physical education in our schools is key to children's health and school success. Physical education and activities help both the brain and body by decreasing stress, increasing academic performance, improving fitness, and preventing injury and disease. Joining us now to discuss, Dr. Kara Grant, Supervisor of Physical Education and Health at Montgomery County Schools and past president of Shape America. Doctor, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so what is Shape America and why is that mission important?
Shape America is the Society of Health and Physical Educators in America, and it's the organization that serves all the schools with standards for health and physical education, as well as research, white papers, other things that help teachers, schools, and families know what the standard is for physical activity, for health education, and for physical education.
Why is it so important to have that in a school system?
It's the umbrella for the whole. So bringing it down to the school level, so then Shape America is the national organization, and then we have state affiliates like Shape Maryland, which serve the local state health and physical education teachers. And it is so vital to have it because then it creates community, a sense of belonging. It also level sets of what students should know and be able to do to be able to be physically active, to what they should be learning in health education classes, what they should be learning in physical education classes, all of the things.
What kind of policies help shape a child's shape, if you will, right? When it comes to being in a school and the physical activity requirements.
Right, so the big policy or the big P is going to be around like the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act final rule, which has like wellness, local school wellness councils that help each district as well as each local school identify, well, what do their students need at their school? So that way it's a grassroots data, but framed with like a federal and larger oversight. So is that physical activity? Is it nutrition education? Is it physical education? Is it how food is produced and brought in the cafeteria? All those things. So it really just depends on what that local school needs. And it could look like maybe more brain boosters through the classroom so students aren't sitting as much. It could be that there's a school garden. It could be extra recess, more physical education minutes, health education class time. It could be a lot of things.
Are they still doing the little square pizza with the chocolate milk? I'm just curious, because that's what they had when I was coming up. Do they still do that in school?
I'd have to check with our food service people, but I don't believe it's the square
It's not
pizza.
the square pizza.
No.
So schools have essentially gone to healthier choices.
That's right.
Yeah. So kids spend a lot of time, of course, in school, but you can't see what they're doing when they get home. What kind of lessons can be taught, like while you have that kid in a school, to transition that to the house?
Exactly. So that's a whole child model. And so the physical education teacher is like the key proponent of the person that really drives home that message with encouraging them and getting them to understand, well, how do I have fun when I move? How do I know that moving is fun and I enjoy it? Or what movements make me laugh or giggle or those kinds of things. So that way I have what we call as a physical literacy journey to understand where we would need to go to move throughout a lifespan instead of just that bit of time we have PE or the bit of time we have recess in elementary or middle school. And then the health education component, which could be taught by a classroom teacher or a health educator, helps them with like the skills based around setting goals and making decisions. So do I make a decision to walk home and play my video game, or walk home while on a phone, or do I walk home and talk with friends, or do we walk and stop at a park on the way home and play? So it helps students set those like realistic goals to have better and optimal health decisions.
You mentioned PE. Is there like a physical fitness testing requirement now in this school system?
There is not in the state of Maryland. Some states across the country do require the state fitness testing. We use it from the national perspective. The standards provide opportunity to learn about what the fitness components are. So that way students know what's my cardiorespiratory, what's my muscular strength, flexibility, and endurance. where am I, so that I can set goals to either maintain it, improve it, or sustain it. And so that's really the goal of any kind of fitness testing. It's not to punish or embarrass kids, but to kind of let them know, like, okay, this is where I am with my flexibility. This is where I am with my cardio.
Right.
And where do I need to go, and how can I set a goal for that?
What can parents do?
Parents can do a ton of things. And, you know, it also helps when they can structure some time and have unstructured play time too. So parents can encourage their students to move when they get home. We know that movement helps the brain function. So, you know, if kids go home and it's light out and the lampposts aren't on yet, to get them to play outside before they
Kids these days know nothing about that. They know nothing about that.
Mine do, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, getting them to incorporate play and movement every day, whatever that looks like. Could that be that they're just like walking and talking? Could they be walking the dog? Could they go to a park? Could they, I mean, even low-level physical activity like chores, cleaning around the house, that is movement and that is activity. It's not always the activity kids want to do.
Right.
But it definitely burns the calories and gets your heart rate going for sure. Parents can access free resources through the rec departments in their local areas. If they're worried, if there's a pay to play where you have to pay to participate in a recreation department, they may have a stipend or a waiver available. So don't be discouraged if there is a cost component. Just email that local rec department and ask if there's a scholarship or a stipend available to be on that team or that activity. And also, like, optional free passes for movement, like with swimming pools and the local parks. Really adventurous parents could like bring together a group of community members or family and do games and activities. When we have, you know, like the barbecues or the picnics, like make sure you pack a ball from a local like dollar store or something that's not really that high cost. They always have at different stores, you know, a basketball or a kickball or lots of fun games like pickleball. All those things are there, and you don't have to limit yourself to playing the game as like an Olympic person would play it. You know, you can play pickleball or tennis across a line on a sidewalk, and you use the line of the sidewalk to play back and forth. You don't have to go to the court if you don't have a court.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, physical activity and play are paramount for every child at every age. My thanks to Dr. Cara Grant of Shape America for sharing her insight. Next up, we'll get a taste of why healthy foods and healthy choices can help prevent childhood obesity.
Some people judge a book by its cover, and if you're not what people are looking for, you're kind of like a reject.
School, it feels like everyone's staring at me and I'm just kind of not really a person.
It just feels hard today. Nobody was listening to me.
And I'll try to understand me more, and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
Might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. You may not even know you have it, but you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand. With early diagnosis, you can change the outcome and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Well, where your family lives can affect a child's risk of developing child obesity. Foods and drinks offered in schools and daycare centers, cost and accessibility of healthy food options, proximity of fast food, and limited access to rec centers, parks, and safe places to play can be factors that contribute to childhood obesity. Healthy food choices and meal prep at home promote healthy weight. Dr. Kathy Hardwick and Jasmine Maribel of Coppin State join us to talk all things healthy. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, thank you.
So why is it important, didn't mean to cut you off, to eat healthy, especially as a child?
Well, your formative years are childhood. We do socialization, we all know about that, and getting to know each other. But what we seldom do is think about where their child is going home to and what they have and it can afford. In urban areas, we think about places that are food deserts, where we have places, not too many grocery stores, but we do have little outpost areas where we can get chicken boxes and we can get other fast food. So in those areas, we do tend to find that those children are much less healthy than those who are in more rural areas.
Mm-hmm. Now you mentioned chicken boxes though, but isn't chicken per se healthy?
To some degree, yes, but the type of fats that the chicken is fried in, or the fish is fried in, or whatever you're eating, the fries are fried in, actually may be more of a saturated fat. And as we know, saturated fats are very, 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 they can cause other health issues. So what we want to do in children is really decrease the amount of saturated fats and sugars, so as they grow, they can grow healthier and they're less likely to get high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, diabetes as they get older.
So let's talk numbers. What's the current state of childhood obesity?
Oh, childhood obesity right now in Maryland per se, we are number 43 out of 50 with childhood obesity. 20% of the children here in Maryland, Baltimore in particular, are obese, which leads to other problems. We tend on seeing those persons or those clients that I may see in the clinic. By the time they're 16, they're already pre-diabetic and we're treating them for diabetes. So if we can deal with this when they're younger, 2 to 5, 2 to 10, in that age range, we're much more likely to produce a more healthier child.
Yeah, because those problems, of course, persist into adulthood.
Absolutely.
Their entire life. Yeah, I recently had a cousin who passed away from diabetes, but she had been obese for her entire life. So who's at risk for childhood obesity?
It can be anyone. It does not have a color, a shape, because in urban areas, we are all colors. We're very diverse in an urban area. What I find that if you live in an area where there are food deserts, if you live in an area where you don't have access to vegetables, actually good vegetables, you can buy them frozen. You don't have to actually get a good vegetable out of the grocery store, but you can actually find bags of vegetables that you can cook over time without frying, baking, decreasing your salt level. That will help. And also, when you look at our urban children, we're having more children making their own meals. So how, you have to navigate that process as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on food insecurity, which is really a big issue, especially in certain parts of Baltimore and across the state, as we know. Doctor, I'm going to shift gears. Have Jasmine talk to us about all this good stuff we're seeing here. I'm getting a little hungry. So.
Sure. So just to piggyback off what my distinguished professor spoke about, it's all about options and being creative. We don't want families to feel like, oh, I see these vegetables and I'm not gonna use them. Kids are kids will eat. They will eat anything you give them. So we like to make some things colorful. Right here we have whole wheat pita bread, a little spinach. We can do cheese. We can make pizzas, just like Dr. Hardwick said. Kids, like you said, kids are making their own food. We can make some peppers here just to make it bright. We can make smiley faces. We can get the kids encouraged to also help out.
This isn't Chuck E. Cheese, though.
It's not Chuck E. Cheese, but it'll help with controlling your sodium, your fat intake. It'll also be budget friendly for mom, right? Because mom can buy these pitas, we can get vegetables frozen, and then we can let the kids customize and do what they like and still have a fun meal, but then it gives a little bit of nutrition, a little more than we usually would. So we have just like some variety of vegetables here that kids can choose.
And what do you have down here?
So since we're gonna do a little pizza, we're gonna keep it fresh for the summer and the spring and make smoothies. What kid does not like smoothies? What adult doesn't like smoothies? They're really popular now. So what we do to make things cost efficient, we get frozen berries and frozen fruit. These can go in bulk. We can freeze them. We can make smoothie bowls, and what we really want to do is make the popsicles. So I have some smoothie mix here. We're gonna go ahead and pour these into cups, and kids can take these outside. They can share with the friends. And the good thing is that it has no added sugar, right? The kids love the fruit, doesn't have the added sugar, and you can actually add some Greek yogurt or things of that nature, mixed nuts, granola for a little extra protein.
Why would they go with this versus going with the ice cream man?
I think it's better for the pocket, right? Because if mom can feed all the children with the frozen foods that she has, she doesn't have to go to the ice cream truck. And then we can make things look pretty. How awesome are these popsicles, right? We have these popsicles. The kids can make the mold, so you can make a smoothie bowl. You can make popsicles, and you pop them out. And this is better than the ice cream truck. Come on, this is awesome. So yeah, we make some different varieties. This is berry, this is mango, and then you can have a nice snack with a nice little dessert, and you can feel good about what you've got.
And all of this stuff is relatively quick.
This is relatively quick, it's easy, and we can get all of this for under 30 bucks. And these are like 6 or 7 servings. These are 6 popsicles
and in this
here.
economy.
Yeah, we need a little help here because we feel like we can't do better for ourselves because of the budgets, but it's not true. Parents out there are creative. We improvise and we make it happen, so it's good to continue to live well.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, we will leave it right there. Thank you so much, Dr. Hardwick and Jasmine. Healthy foods and healthy food choices are key to preventing childhood obesity. There are resources to help families incorporate healthier foods into their food budgets. To learn more, visit cdc.gov/obesity/family-action. And if you have concerns about your child's weight, consult with your pediatrician.